No mixing of the seas. He released the two seas, meeting between them is a barrier, so neither of them transgresses. Ar-Rahman, 19-20. The wording of the verse is mind-blowing. Because the verse informs us that the seas do not mix with each other despite all the storms and giant waves. Yes, science confirms the verses of the Qur'an as always and proves that it is the word of Allah. Namely, the French marine scientist Captain Jacques-Yves Cousteau, who is famous for his submarine research, describes the results of his research on water barriers in the seas as follows. We were examining the opinions of some researchers that there are barriers separating different sea masses from each other. As a result of the studies, we have seen that the Mediterranean has its own salinity and density. It also has unique creatures. Then we examined the body of water in the Atlantic Ocean and found that it was completely different from the Mediterranean. However, these two seas, which converged in the Strait of Gibraltar, had to be equal or close to equal in terms of salinity and density and vitality. However, these two seas have separate structures even when they are close to each other. In our research on this, we encountered a situation that surprised us. Because a wonderful water curtain at the merging point prevented the mixing of these two seas. A water barrier of the same type was found by German scientists in the year 1962 in the Mandeb Strait, where the Adams Gulf and the Red Sea meet. In our later investigations, we witnessed that the same barrier exists at the junction points of all different seas. The fact that the waters do not mix despite the merging of the seas, which surprised the captain, was revealed in the Quran 14 centuries ago. Another type of water barrier on Earth occurs in estuaries and deltas where freshwater rivers flow into the sea. The rivers, which are highly possible to mix with each other with both upper and undercurrent currents, never mix with salt water from the points where they flow into the sea. If Allah did not set the law of not mixing between these two waters, the freshwater rivers on Earth would mix with salty sea water and perish along with the living things in and around them. In another verse, the Quran draws attention to the miracle that these sweet and salty waters do not mix. And He is the one who merges the two bodies of water, one fresh and palatable and the other salty and bitter, placing between them a barrier they cannot cross. Furqan 53. Yes, the fact that the seas do not mix with each other and that the freshwater rivers do not mix with the salty sea water shows the infinity of Allah's power, and the fact that this event was expressed in the Quran 14 centuries ago proves that the Quran is the Word of God. Just as it is not possible to base this knowledge on the discovery of a person living in that century, it is also not possible to base it on the discovery of all people living in that century. It is impossible for a person to discover and write this truth that science could only discover in this century, 14 centuries ago. Therefore, the Quran can never be a human word. It is the eternal word of Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth.